In this video, I am going to walk you through every step you need to take to build your first web server using Node.js. You need to download two things. First one is the Node.js, and for that you will need to open your browser and you need to go a website nodejs.org. So here you can get the latest version of the Node.js. And the second thing you need to download is the Visual Studio Code. So that is also very simple. You need to open the website code.visualstudio.com, and the thing that we are going to do is actually create a web server using the Node.js. So to get started with that, all we need to do is to create a JavaScript file inside any folder. For that, here you can go and from here you can open the folder. Suppose I say I am going to create a file with the name app.js. So inside of this JavaScript file we need to create our server, and that server will be listening on some port. For that, first of all, I will need to use the HTTP module, which is basically the built-in module of the Node.js server. So here I will create a variable with the name http is equal to require, and here I am going to include the http. So the first thing we need to do is we need to require a certain library which is named as http. This is basically the built-in library which is automatically installed with the Node.js installation. And the basic functionality of require function is that it reads the JavaScript file, execute the file, and then proceeds to return an object. So actually what we have done, we have read this module http module and we have keep it in a variable with the name http. And the next thing we need to use localhost address. So here we will create two more variables. Constant host name is equal to 127.0.0.1, and we will create another variable. Constant port is equal to 4000 and semicolon. Now we have created two variables, host name and the port. Actually when we are going to create our server, we will need to mention that at what port this server will be listening. So to do that, we shall create a server variable. So we will create a server object, and for that object we will use the HTTP library. Just we have created an object at this step. So using this library we will create server, and in this server we are using a function actually here, and that function will use two parameters, request and response, and this is basically the arrow function. And in this arrow function we are going to response dot status code is equal to 200, and response dot set header, that will be the content type, and the second parameter will be text. So we have set a header for the response, and finally we can write response dot end, and here we can write some text. So this is the function which has two parameters, request and response. Then inside of this function we are going to handle all of the different activity on server. So every time some will request a page to our server, it is going to call this function. This server object can listen, and for that we will need further to use this server object, server dot listen, and here we will mention the port, and secondly we will mention host name. Also the third parameter will be the function, and for that we can write console.log, and here we will write server is running at http host name, and secondly we will use the port. That's all. So now that we have the server object, we can just call the server.listen, and so it will be listening on port 4000. In order to run our server, all we need to do is to start the server. For that I will open the fresh one terminal. So from here, to run my server I will type node app.js. Actually here I need to use the backcode, so I will use the backcode. Here also I will use backcode, control S. I will save the app. Again I will open the new terminal, and here I will again type node app.js. So actually this port is already in use, so I will need to use a different port. For example, I use the 7000. Content type should be in single quote, so I will remove this error, control S. Again I will try to start the server node app.js. I will go into the browser, I will refresh it, and here you can see now our server application is running successfully. Here you can stop this server by pressing the control C. So now it is stopped, and if I refresh this, it's actually now not working. So if I change this text message, the last one, so let's change this text. Now I will press the save, control S. By pressing the control S, it will save the app.js. Again I will run node app.js. So again it is saying it's running. I will refresh. Here you can see the text which I have changed is now displayed here. This was one way to start your app, and other ways also there. Here you can debug each and every point. Suppose I want to debug this application, so I will use run and debug. For the first time when you will came here, here is the option, top one option, run and debug. It will ask me to select the debugger. I will select the nodejs debugger, and in this way its debugging has been starting. Now with the debugging you can run each and every line and can monitor the things what is going on. Now here you can see there are a lot of stuff has been populated in this variable http. Now currently the host name is this, port is this, and here is the create server. When I am going to create server, it will only create, it will not execute this function. This function will be executed when the request will came from the client. Here it is going to start or listen the server, it will definitely execute it, and here you can see the control has come into this function, and it's saying it will print the message in the console, and it's saying server is running at this point. So in this way you can run line by line. And if I minimize it and I am going to refresh this, so as soon as I have pressed the refresh button, here you can see the request has came and this function is being executed. Here you can see line by line that what is going on. At the end I will request to subscribe my channel, and if you like the video please like it and share it. Thank you very much.